going on here? Hello. Welcome back. Happy Monday. This is we call it the 1400 truck, but you can just call it an OBS single cab or whatever. Cali Customs 1400 truck, whatever. If you watched the previous episode on this, we brought it in for a prep and upgrades, and it is underway to be finished. So I wanted to get you guys up to speed on what we're doing right now, what we've been doing, and what we're doing next before we are showing another episode with it complete and getting ready for testing, or even just testing on the street. First headers I ever built on this thing. This is a punched out small block AFR heads. Built by Adam at Cali Customs. Spicy little thing. One of the, when we built this originally, Mike Pram helped me with some of it. Obviously some of the styling is a little different from the rear, where it's just not quite my design. And if you kind of have the eye for it, you can tell, but I pretty much handled everything on this thing from this portion rearward. And one of the things is we got a lot of parts with this car. 40-inch tires were not quite as much of a thing as they are now. This was constructed in 2018. So, 37s were the name of the game for this thing, but just when you put a 40-inch tire on a truck, it just makes it get through the bumps so much easier. It absorbs a lot of stuff. It's almost like the desert's kind of conforming to 40s, and the terrain is a lot easier to get through and negotiate with a 40-inch tire. So what we're doing here and what we've done is thought, okay, how can we make this work? What is going to get held up? Is a 40-inch tire even a feasible thing? The number one culprit was the sheet metal on the firewall, driver and passenger side. So not a big deal. This is a completely powder coated truck, so we do need to do some decent touch-up work on repainting this area. But there was no issues as far as we put all the suspension on. We cycled everything, put the truck into full compression, locked the steering back and forth at compression, and it was close, but with a brand new 40 on there, it wasn't that bad. No contact points whatsoever. I mean, a lot of people will be like, well, if you're gonna be full compression and lock, you're already in a bunch of trouble, but whatever, just build it so it clears. I mean, that's a weird thing. So the 40 clears out back. One of the things we need to still look at is the spare tires. I don't know if the spare tire configuration will clear a 40, and that's still just another adjustment. It's just metal, not a huge deal. Another thing on this truck we can talk about is the handbrake. They wanted to actually have a handbrake. I like a setup where there's two calipers. There's a redundant rear caliper for just the handbrake, so you're not tapping into your plumbing on the actual foot brake. You're just doing a handbrake with its own lines going to its own calipers. It's its own thing. There's no weird pressurized issues or anything. I just feel there's a greater control like that and kind of predictability. So we have brackets and everything reconfigured in the car where it works. We moved the shifter over and got the handbrake right next to it, and then all the center console is going to fit right back on where we don't have to do any kind of crazy modifications. The other thing is moving the shifter away. There was a request to swap some of the switches in the center console because the ignition switch was right next to the shifter, so sometimes then they'd bang it, they'd cut the car. And now that the handbrake is there and then it goes shifter, it's got that space farther away. Another thing is we're doing a light upgrade. So the KCs here and the Vision X up top are all going to be replaced with the Baja design. So there'll be LP9s up here and LP6s here, running ambers on the lower portion, and then just your standard LP9s up top. All the pivots for the inner, the lower pivots, the lower arm pivots, were all a Delrin We've machined bronze for those, so self-lubricating bronze. Instead of that, where it's a much tighter, firmer situation, and the wear is dramatically decreased with those. So that's all done. All the suspension's been blown apart, restructured some of the shock mount area on the lower arm because it was subject to cracking. So we kind of cut off the repair parts they had there and fixed it, replated it. All that stuff's been resprayed with Steelite. So next update, you'll see that all complete. I think what we'll do is we'll have to have one more update in between this and like going testing, just to show you this thing all dialed in and together like this instead of just hovercraft mode. And then we can take it out and fire it up and rip it around and then go to the desert and test it. So those are things to definitely look forward to. I think we should go look at the rear axle while it's on the table. Kind of see just the orientation of the axle here, but this is just a big 4-inch tube works. It's definitely been, I remember I cleaned the old pivots off of this when I worked at Cali Customs and put all the new stuff on. And then what you can see is there's like some 3D box plated caliper mounts. I'll try to rotate this thing, but you know, this has all been added. So let me get a rotation of this and we'll look at it. So you can see the additions here. Kind of just got the bracketry going. The old bracket has Brakeman calipers. We're going to do a full upgrade. So we'll be running the 4-piston just for the handbrake, and then we'll have a 6-piston Wheelwood through here. We're a dealer for Wheelwood now, so it just so happens that this truck's getting a brake upgrade, front and rear. So we'll just have big, juicy 6-piston guys next to these guys. A lot of brake, and then we'll be running, you know, like these tabs. This is just your single bulkhead tab. So this guy will get cut off. We'll run a double everything up, double all through the upper links, and then just split off, run into the cab. We'll check that out right now. I kind of see that the instrument panel is blown apart. Just for how this thing, it's kind of modular. I didn't build that thing, but it's you got to kind of remove a bunch of stuff to get to the center console. But you can see now like the shifter and the handbrake are all on this modular plated thing that's tied into the chassis. And we can make the plumbing and everything's kind of really easy like that. One of the other things is we're going to add a fluid logic hydration system. You guys are probably like, well, what's that? We'll get into what that is and how it works in the next episode and also show it working. So besides just getting like a corner prep on this thing, meaning like new bearings, new rotors, new pads, brake upgrade, obviously the handbrake edition, all that, the fluid logic for hydration, we want to add recovery. We have a new trans cooler. There were some issues with the trans coolers before, and I know they were PWR, which is kind of like a CBR, but they were just older. 20 years at least, maybe 25 years old, and they were very heavy, and there was just, I don't know what's in those, but there was issues with the transmission and cooling. So what we did is we upgraded, like your standard kind of trans cooler is like a 14 or 12 by 12 or 14 by 14 kind of thing, and usually people used to run like 2 of them piggybacked into each other, like plumbed in. And now CBR makes a trans cooler that's kind of a 2, like the size of 2 of them combined, but you don't have to have the extra plumbing and all that. So that is what's back there. It's kind of through the mesh. It's hard to see, but we added the trans cooler. We'll simplify the plumbing with that. New mufflers are going in. And then the other thing is we're working with RPI now, Reed Products Incorporated. They manufacture, I would say, the best aircraft certified 12-point hardware you can get. Their primary, I guess, clientele is all like aviation and aerospace, but they do make specific bolts for off-road vehicles, and they stock those, and then they work with select shops to outfit their cars. So that's where we're at with them now. And we're running them on the Tundra, on the Truggy, on the 1400 truck. I think we're gonna do James' truck too, and a couple others. So we have a parts list. Well, we have an itemized bolt list that's gone out, and all that stuff should come next week. So we'll be able to just put this whole thing back together with fresh hardware, all properly, proper grip, proper shank, everything dialed. Once we get all that together, we do have some cosmetic stuff. The lights are a functional upgrade, but like the front end, did away with the black grill shell, got regular OEM headlights and corner lights, chrome grill shell, chrome like headlight bezels, just to kind of retain the factory look. It's got just polished raw finish aluminum wheels, so I think that'll keep like a period correct vibe going. And then of course 40-inch tires from Jackson Motorsports. So we're gonna be able to outfit this thing like proper on 40s. It's gonna be a different truck. We'll need to test it again, tune it again. So I just wanted to get you guys like in the loop with this thing and let you know it's in the rotation. You know, some of the projects, like you go, oh, well, what, maybe think like, oh, what happened to those, or what's going on with that? And this is just me bringing you back in, because this is going to be something that's, you know, in rotation. Also, for updates on stuff like this, you can always check my Instagram and kind of go back and see more of a daily or weekly progress on vehicles, including this one and the others in the shop. Happy Monday. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye.